Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp as we once again have a look at some of the games coming out for the Switch in this upcoming week. In terms of dates, we'll be going from the 9th of October up until the 15th, and as we always do, we'll have a look first at a couple of games that missed one of these videos for whatever reason, before looking specifically at the games coming out this week. So which games are coming? Well, let's find out. First into a game that's already out, not sure how I missed this one last week, but it's Tetris Effect Connected. This version of the classic puzzler has been out elsewhere for a while, and I have yet to meet someone who doesn't like it. Cue copious comments I'm sure below from people who don't like this game. Anyway, this takes the classic tetromino fall-in formula as you attempt to clear the blocks by making lines, but it fuses it with a rhythm aspect as the gameplay is tied to the beat of the music by way of the zone mechanic. Co-produced by Tetsuya Mizuguchi, who also worked on fantastic rhythm-based games such as Res, Child of Eden and Lumines, this connected edition includes a co-op mode where players can connect their playfields together and play as one. Cross-platform play is also supported. Also already out then is LEGO Marvel Superheroes, which I'll be totally honest, I thought was already on the Switch and this was maybe a code in a box re-release. In fact, I was so sure I checked through my whole collection as I was certain I already owned it, and it looks as if that was the sequel, and this original, which came out back in 2013, has now joined it on Nintendo's hybrid system. This tells a story that crosses the entire Marvel universe, and you can play as fan favourites such as Iron Man, the Hulk, Captain America and Wolverine, as well as a whole host of others as you attempt to stop Loki and his band of supervillains. Now, I did read that it includes DLC in the Super Pack and the Asgard Pack, although the eShop blurb itself doesn't actually mention this, which is a little strange. Looking at the games that are coming out this week, and starting with one that I'm sure many people will be looking forward to, this is Disco Elysium: The Final Cut. Disco Elysium released back in 2019 to practically universal acclaim and is an isometric RPG which focuses on dialogue choices as you take on the role of a flawed detective on the case of a murderer. You will shape the sort of character that you become, be it a hero or a disaster of a human being, as the eShop blurb puts it. The Final Cut moniker refers to this expanded and reworked edition of the game. It added voice acting across the game and reintegrated 4 quests that were cut out originally. We'll have a review of this one next week. It's going to release on the 12th and it sells for £35.99.
You mean someone stole your badge?
I'm not a real police officer. You are.
What the f***? What are you doing?
We then have Monster Crown, which is a monster taming battler which began life via a Kickstarter campaign. You play on the island of Crown, which is under threat from a malicious young woman seeking power. You make pacts with monsters in order to team up with them rather than the more traditional catching aspect, and it uses a pixel art style which looks like a cross between the Game Boy Color Pokemon games and the GBA remakes, in my opinion at least. It will cost £26.99 or your regional equivalent, although there is 10% off this price in some regions until just before launch.
People, dangers, and possibilities. While exploring, you can meet other tamers and fight it out using your monsters. Or help out citizens.
Next is Critadel, a hardcore action game with a GBA inspired look that sees you trying to reach the top of a mysterious tower. The blurb mentions that with upgradable characters, a variety of weapons and continuously reconfigured branching paths, it will be different every time you play. There are 3 different characters to choose between, each with their own skills, 360-degree aiming, weapons to be found along the way, and collectible artifacts that grant powers when equipped. Sounds like classic roguelite fare, but these games can be fantastic fun when done right, and it will sell for £13.99. Lumione releases on the 13th and is an ocean-themed side-scrolling platformer. You play as a sea-deep fairy named Glimmer and must escape the darkness. The gameplay is described as simple yet satisfyingly difficult as you jump, climb and glide your way through stages, evading deadly traps and obstacles. There are 170 levels to attempt to beat, and it mentions that there are 10 unique game mechanics which you can either ignore or take advantage of in order to get through the levels and advance through the game. It's going to cost £9.49, although there is 10% off of this price up until launch. You then have Aeon Must Die, which is also out on the 13th, which is a beat 'em up with an incredibly stylized look in terms of its art style. Aeon, the Emperor of the Void Armada, has been betrayed and left for dead. Without a body, he merges with you in order to exact revenge. It mentions that there is a risk-reward gameplay mechanic where you can succumb to the will of Aeon and use his power, albeit losing yourself in the process, or you can choose to remain free at the cost of your strength, instead doing things the hard way. I'm always up for a new beat 'em up, especially if it brings something new to the table, and this one will cost £17.99. Next we have Evil Tonight, which is a top-down survival horror game from the team behind Viviette, another pixel-based horror game on the Switch. You play as Silver, who faces a fight to survive after things go very bad one night. The blurb says there is no map, no hand-holding, and that Evil Tonight is about classic survival horror, finding items, discovering hidden paths, solving puzzles, and managing scarce ammunition as you take on vile creatures and memorable boss battles. Now, I love horror games and this looks great in practically every way apart from maybe the lack of a map. Perhaps it's not warranted in this game, I mean obviously I haven't played it, but I never really like it when devs label including a map as hand-holding. I don't really see that as being the case. Anyway, this is out on the 14th and it will sell for £13.99. Tears of Avia is next and is a turn-based strategy and tactics game. Set in the world of Astera, a once beautiful land which has been torn apart by warring states, you must build a party searching out the secrets behind ancient and long abandoned cities before deciding where your morality lies. There are 5 different classes of characters and you can combine skills and create combos in order to ensure victory. If I'm being maybe overly harsh, I would say it does look fairly generic, but credit where it's due. The fact you can decide which side you are fighting for as you venture further sounds interesting, and the price certainly falls into impulse buy territory, which is always good. If you are interested, it releases on the 14th and sells for £10.99 or your regional equivalent. Then you have A Little Golf Journey, which will see you completing golf challenges with over 100 holes split across 10 courses in multiple destinations. It has that lovely low poly look that I always feel fits perfectly for serene and slow paced games, and it also mentions a Zen soundtrack. There are secret holes to discover, off-path mysteries and collectibles, and it also goes on to say that the controls are accessible, just aim, pull and release. The price may be a little high at £15.49, but it releases on the 14th for those who are at all curious. And finally for the week then, we have a game called The Good Life. Now when I first saw the title and a picture of a woman in the thumbnail, I thought for a moment that it was a digitised Felicity Kendall in what would have been a very odd licensed game. If you've got no idea what I'm talking about, then I'm either way too English or way too old. A case of picking your own poison there, I suppose. Anyway, it isn't, so let's move on. It's a game set in what's known as the happiest town in the world and describes itself as a debt repayment RPG, which is an interesting term I've never heard before. I assume that refers to an Animal Crossing style of gameplay in some capacity, but it also mentions that you will be solving a murder mystery and can do so as either a human, a cat or a dog. The plot thickens. There is no trailer on the eShop, so I'm doing all of this based solely on screenshots, and to be honest, it does look incredibly janky. I'd love for this to be a quirky yet flawed experience in the vein of something like Deadly Premonition, because the blurb itself actually sounds quite interesting, but I think I'd be getting my hopes up a bit too high there. This sounds intriguing one way or the other, and hopefully I have found a trailer for you to watch. It's going to sell for £30.59 and it releases on the 14th. So there you have it, another week of Nintendo Switch releases. Nothing for me this week, I don't think. I've just picked up a bunch of games physically for a really good price, so I've got a fair bit to be getting through anyway. But please do let me know if any of these interest you. Stick it in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you do need eShop credit, we have a website that you can now visit that sells eShop cards. You'll get what you need and it helps us out on the channel a little bit too, which is always much appreciated. It's only for those based in the UK at the moment, but we are hoping that will expand as time goes on. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and as always, happy gaming.